Hello everybody and welcome to Willadine's Kitchen. Today I want to thank everybody for visiting our channel and viewing our videos, and I'm going to ask you to please hit that subscribe button while you're here. We love to have your support, and when you subscribe you can see when we come out with new videos as well. Now we're going to jump right into this. Today we're going to do another vegetarian dish. So we're going to do some spaghetti squash. I believe spaghetti squash is kind of one of the underrated squashes out there. It tastes really great and it's not hard to cook. It's really easy to cook. So, and it has lots of good flavor to it. And I love the fact that it naturally comes out looking like spaghetti. It's almost amazing how that works. But we have a spaghetti squash here that we're gonna cut in half, take the seeds out, and we're gonna bake this in the oven. I have a tray back here. We're gonna put the squash on the tray, cut side down, and then we're going to make a sauce to go with this. So our sauce is going to be tomato based. So we have some tomato paste and some crushed tomatoes to go into the sauce. We also have some sliced, kind of cubed bell peppers, red and green. The same thing with some onions here. We got some white onions here, cubed up. We have some celery in this bowl, and over here we have some mushrooms. Now the mushrooms are going to give us that meatiness that we're going to not get because we're not adding any ground beef or sausage to this sauce. So the mushrooms are there to give us a little heartiness and meatiness to the sauce. And in here I got a mixture of spices. I have some garlic, chopped and granulated. I have a half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and I have a teaspoon of dry Italian herbs in here as well. So that's going to be our sauce. And of course we have some olive oil. We're going to use the olive oil to rub on the squash before we get it in the oven to bake. So those are our ingredients. We're going to get this going, and I'm going to show you how to make a nice delicious spaghetti squash plate, all vegetable. First, we're going to cut our squash in half. Insert the knife halfway through the squash, come down, turn it around, do the same thing. The pit is a little tough, so you got to cut through that, use a little bit of force to cut through. Next thing we're going to do is take the seeds out. Okay, so to recap what we done, we cut the squash in half lengthwise. We took the seeds out of the squash. We drizzled it with some olive oil, and then we seasoned it up with some salt, pepper, and garlic. And then we put it cut side down on the baking pan. We have some parchment paper here. This is going to go into oven, 400-degree oven, for 45 minutes. It should be nice and soft by then, and then we'll take it out and let it cool, and then we'll get our squash out. Okay, so while our squash is cooking in the oven, we can get our sauce going here. So what I have is the saucepan on the stove. I have some olive oil in the pan. That's going to get nice and hot. And then we're going to add our vegetables to this. So we have our onions that we're going to add here. So we have the onions, add those in there. We have celery, I'm going to add there. We have our bell peppers. And we have our mushrooms. So now we're going to let these start cooking down. We want to caramelize them a little bit so they get a little bit of brownness to them. And that's also going to bring out the flavor of the vegetables as well. So what we do to get that started, we're going to sprinkle just a little bit of salt in here to get that going. And this is probably going to take 3 or 4 minutes. Start getting some nice brown color on these vegetables, and then we'll add the remaining ingredients to finish off our sauce. Okay, so our vegetables have been cooking for 3 minutes. I set the timer. I start using my timer a lot more so I can know exactly how long my food is cooking. But they look very good now. I could actually add a little seasoning to that and eat these vegetables just like this. But we're going to go ahead and finish off the sauce. So the first thing I like to do is add some tomato paste to the pot. I'll add the paste. I stir it in here a little bit. Let that start cooking. And then we'll add the crushed tomatoes. And I'm going to add an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce here. I don't know if you can see that, but that's tomato sauce. We're going to add this 8-ounce can of that to the pot as well. Okay, so we add our can of crushed tomatoes. This is a 15-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. Add that in there just like that. We're going to add our 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. Because we're certainly going for tomato flavor here. Just kind of stir that in. And next we're going to add our dry seasonings, our salt, pepper, and our garlic. Mix those in there like this. Now when you make tomato sauce, you got to have your pot cover ready because it starts bubbling up and it'll splash tomatoes all over your stove and everywhere, and that'll just leave you a mess to have to clean up afterwards. So we're going to put our lid on. And we're going to let this cook for about 15-20 minutes. Let it cook down really good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little water to this. Get the rest of those tomatoes out. And I add a little bit of Parmesan cheese, grated Parmesan cheese out of the carton. I like the flavor that it adds to the sauce. So now we stir this up. I turn my heat down to low. So we're going to let this slow cook for 15 or 20 minutes. Okay, so we're going to take one of our squashes here, and this is how we get the squash out of the skin. You just use a fork and you go along like this, and it'll start coming out and it will look like spaghetti. And once you get it all out, get it scooped out some. You can then take your spoon and just put it right on your plate, just like spaghetti. So that's what it looks like once we scoop it out. Okay everyone, here's our plate of vegetarian spaghetti squash. I don't know if you can actually see, looks the strands here, but it has strands just like spaghetti. So I plated it up with some of the tomato sauce that we made. I have some whole wheat mountain bread. I made a little type garlic bread out of this with some Parmesan cheese and garlic on there. And I garnished it with some parsley. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a taste here, see what it tastes like. Get a little bit of the squash. Yeah, I don't know if you can see those strands there, just like spaghetti. And it tastes great. And it tastes even better because it's vegetarian. So you don't have to feel too guilty about having a whole plate of spaghetti. Now I like the sauce that we made, vegetables in the sauce with some Italian seasoning. Now you can season your sauce to your liking. Some people may like more cheese in it. Some people may like maybe a little sugar in it. But whatever you like, you make your spaghetti sauce the way you like. And it did grate some fresh Parmesan cheese right on the top. You can actually see it melting here, right on top of the sauce. And this is still hot. I mean, it's still very hot considering I took the squash out over 5 minutes ago. But we're going to give it another taste here. Yes, I really like this. So I hope you enjoyed our video. This is a nice hearty vegetarian dish. You eat this plate of food, you'll be filled up and you won't be feeling guilty. So thank you for viewing. I hope you have a nice day. Come back and see us again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.